I've got the trailer flipped right side up. Put the little hatches back in. There's some areas where the blue tape stuck to the epoxy right here. Should have pulled that up while it was still wet. I didn't, so I'm gonna have to sand that out. There's some mess along the edges over there. I need to sand all that. So I'm gonna get her done. The back panel needs another coat of epoxy after I sand that. The bulkhead needs epoxy. Another coat after sanding. So I'm gonna get some of that accomplished today before it gets dark. Okay. I'll fit the hatch on there. I've got the hinges pretty much sanded where they need to be. Hinges mounted on the body. Might have been a little easier to mount the hinges on the hatch. Straight in there. Beautiful. I'm sanding over areas that I varnished one time, and including the back transom there. There's some air bubbles I have to take care of. I sanded those out. Crawl back in there. Really deep air bubbles down in here. So I cut those open with a razor knife and then sanded them a bit. I'm going to fill it in with fillet. When I fill it in the top of the shelf, I'll pack that in with fillet and lay another piece of gloss across the top of that. There were some air bubbles right there and right there where the fiberglass was wrinkled. Sanded those out. All this is going to get covered with foam insulation, foam board insulation. So just a quick sanding of that. I will varnish over all of this with the water-based varnish because it doesn't smell. I sanded underneath the shelf here. One thing I ran across is on the bulkhead. Of course, the bulkhead is going to be highly visible, and you can see, yeah, right here. You can see these scratches were very prominent in the unsanded varnish. What they say in the book about making sure you don't scratch your wood or you sand out all these scratches because they are all highly visible. So I have to sand these through they're actually into the layer of wood. So it takes a lot of sanding. This one I got out, and it's a continuation here. So one of the tips I'm going to say is when you're making your parts and sanding them and everything, probably should store them with a piece of cardboard in between or an old towel or something. Because any little piece of dirt or sanding grit or anything that gets between the sheets and you move them is going to make a big old scratch like this. Later today, hope to cut the vent fan opening up, and I've sanded around the door openings because we're gonna, this weekend I hope to fit the window sills. And I'm not going to do it exactly by the book. The book tells you to clamp it in, and multiple clamps all the way around. I think you just need a couple of clamps to hold it in place and let the filleting do the work. Because if you clamp it, because it's supposed to be pretty straight, but it's not. And you clamp this into the board, which is thicker, it's going to change the shape, which means the door's not going to fit real well into the door opening. So I'm going to preserve the door opening shape as it is right now and fit the door rims with minimal clamps and more fillet than maybe would be necessary. I might even just go ahead and sand the outer edge of the window rims, or door rims I should say, to make them conform. And then if I have to sand it a little bit where the seal's going to ride to make sure it doesn't bind, that's what I'll do. Got the hatch sanded out where the air bubbles were in the fiberglass. I got another piece cut to put on there. And those glue spots for the super glue were pretty visible, so I sanded those through. And I sanded the whole back inside area and the gutter rail. And I sanded back here. There were some air bubbles. So I sanded those out, and I used a die grinder bit, a small one, and in here there were a lot of air bubbles. I got those air bubbles all dug out. I'm just going to fillet this in. It's got fiberglass wrapping around the edge, and it should be fine. And then I cut the fiberglass strips for the eyebrows. These are the eyebrows that go on the sides. Tapers really nicely. You super glue those in place and then fiberglass them in. So that's where we are. So the instructions, page 24 and 25 of the hinge upgrade kit, tells you to cut notches. And they say to drill the hole through, which I did, and you have to cut through here to make a flat for the nuts. So I'm going to do that, and I'll come back after I'm done. Got 3 of the 4 cut. So basically what it is, I took my little X-Acto razor saw and cut down on each side at the marks that I made. Went real fast, and then I just kind of scored it at the base here, and then I scored it at the base here. And the instructions say to use a chisel to just knock it out. Well, unfortunately I don't have my chisels here with me, so use this razor blade, go in at an angle and notch it, and just keep working yourself down. See? Easy peasy, just be careful. If you're not careful or not used to using them, how they react. This is basically a flat, so when you tighten the nut has a flat spot to go to. The nut that holds the hinge. Finish it off with a little mill bastard file as the cutting edge on the side. You have to be careful not to go past where you scored it, because it will tear out the wood on the backside, especially. Didn't file this one yet. And there you go. Okay, I put the new fiberglass across the puzzle joint. This side I just sanded it. This side I sanded it to the wood because it had was porous with air bubbles. This one I sanded out some of the glue that was highly visible, the CA glue. That's another hint. Sand that off like they tell you. Sand it off so you can't see it. Otherwise you can see it under the varnish, and it's in the critical areas, something you might want to think about. So I mixed about 12 pumps. I probably could have got about 10 and been okay. With the excess, I put a little cut piece of fiberglass over the hole for the hinge here and embedded that in there. And then I'm using up what's left to paint the second coat or third coat, I can't remember, on this reinforcement rib. It's all sanded from earlier today. We got our yappy neighbor dog. I told Teresa we should let people bring their dog over, and Chica and the yapper dog can play.
Hey. Good girl, Indy. Good girl. Leave it. Ooh. All right. We'll do this several times. Oh, look at mine. Chica. Chica.
Maybe they won't yap so much, or that one won't yap. Chica only barks when there's actually something to bark at, and I think this one barks because it's lonely. Just sad.
Bye-bye. For now.
So hopefully I have enough to finish this fillet. Use it inside at the foot of the floor. And I used it on the shelf. The shelf. So I'm gonna put this in. There's still more to scrape on the inside.
Okay. Check in later.
Okay, here goes varnish on the galley flat. This is the fun part. You see the results, but it doesn't show you how much time went into sanding it to make it look good. Too much, but heavy coat, so I'll soak up some of it to use on the lid. I don't need a paint tray, just pour it right on the shelf. Okay, I'm gonna crawl underneath. Windshield wipers.